Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our special fifth Thursday presentation today. It is September 29th, 2022. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the CareerDFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. You are welcome to network with other people who are on the call today. So if you want to, put your contact information in the chat window, you're welcome to do so. For those people on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just enter your questions there. I'll be taking a break 4 or 5 different times and we can get those questions answered for you. For those watching on Facebook, just enter your questions into the comment field. I'm monitoring both feeds. We'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Well, today we're going to talk about successful job searches focus on these 4 areas. So let me load the presentation up. Give me a second here and we'll get started. All righty. Let me move me around a little bit here, make me a little bit bigger down there so y'all can see me. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is first of all, just my background, my experience and how I came around to do this. I've got 20+ years experience in light manufacturing as a general manager and operation manager or director of operations. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007 when the prior leader got a job. We meet every Friday morning at 9:30 Central, and I'll tell you about our presentation that we're doing tomorrow morning, which would be very interesting for some people at the end of this session. And in 2008, I started a website called CareerDFW.org to help those in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in their job search. CareerDFW is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. I started it because I saw there was a need. We had 60 or 70 different networking groups in the DFW area at the time, meeting in person, but there was no way to really find out about these groups, unless you happened to be a member of that church or somebody said, hey, there's a group I'm going to, come along. So by starting CareerDFW, I came up with calendars and it was able for anybody who was either new to the area or didn't know what other events were on there, you could find out information about your job search. In 2012, I wrote a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I always have copies with me. And it's actually cheaper if you buy it from me direct, because of course, Amazon's going to take their big cut. In 2012, I was invited to go to the White House Forum on Job Clubs and Career Ministries. It was by the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. It was at the White House. It was very interesting. There were 110 people there from all over the United States. But one of the things I learned while I was there is there was nobody else, there was no other website like CareerDFW in the country. So I had already owned the name CareerUSA.org. And so I decided when we were rebuilding the websites in October, which would be 10 years ago next month, we rebuilt the website. We sort of split up all the generic information, went to CareerUSA.org. The stuff specific to CareerDFW stayed on the DFW website. CareerDFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. Everything I've done over the last 14 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunities. CareerDFW survives on donations and book sales. We've never gotten grants or applied for any kind of grant or whatever. It's just the donations that you all provide at when you all do land a job, and any of the sales, all the proceeds from the sales go to support CareerDFW. LinkedIn, on LinkedIn, we have a CareerDFW LinkedIn group. We have a Career USA LinkedIn group. The CareerDFW LinkedIn group has over 14,000. We just passed today 14,100 members. So if you need to connect with 14,000 people in the DFW area, do that. You don't have to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join that group. It's just I happen to start each group when I started each of the websites. We are on Facebook. We have a CareerDFW Facebook page. All these videos we're broadcasting today on Facebook. All the broadcasts we do are also on CareerDFW. So on the Facebook page live, you can do it. If you follow us on Facebook, every time we go live, you'll get a little alert on your phone and it'll say, hey, I'm now, CareerDFW is now going live. And please subscribe to our Career USA YouTube channel. As long as our speakers allow us, we post videos up to the Career USA YouTube channel. We currently have over 400 videos. I'll show you a picture of the screen, what it looks like towards the end of this presentation. But it's just a great way if you can go back, if you're not able to watch it when we're live at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday mornings, you can go back and watch it at night or on the weekends. Or if you just need to go back for a refresher because you go, that was really great, I need to see that presentation again. They're all up there. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the 4 main areas of your job search that I think you need to focus on. I've been doing this since 2007. I've learned a lot. I've heard a lot of really great speakers. I'm just pulling what I think is the top 4 areas that you need to focus on. They are resumes, LinkedIn, interviewing, and networking. So first off, you've got to get your resume done. We'll talk about that. Then you've got to get your LinkedIn profile complete. We will talk about that. We're then going to talk about interviewing, because your resume and your LinkedIn profile don't get you a job. They only get you a phone call. How well you answer questions when somebody calls you up, that's what's going to get you your next job. And then the last thing is, once you've sort of got those perfected, then you're ready to get out and network. And you should be networking every day, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today is I'm just going to sort of skim the top. So, what I could talk about if we had tons and tons of time, or if you had time to watch all 400 videos that we've got on the Career USA YouTube channel, you would see all the details that we've got provided. So I'm just going to sort of give you some highlights. Hopefully you pick something up, hopefully you learn something, and you carry it with you in your job search during the next week. All right, so first let's talk about resumes. One of the things I see on resumes is people get analysis paralysis. They get hung up on, well, I'm still modifying my resume. All the stories I'm going to tell you today are all true. They've all come from my Friday group, as I've been leading that group for all these years, and that 14 years, 15 years, yeah, 14. And just being able to, hear these stories. And we had a lady who kept coming, and it was like, 5-6 months into her job, or since she'd been coming to my Friday group meeting. And I was like, I asked her, I said, well, what's going on? I mean, tell me how your job search is going. And she says, well, I'm still working on my resume. I don't think I really have it perfected yet. I'm not really ready to go. She had analysis paralysis. She was spending too much time trying to figure out what she should put on her resume. So my suggestion is, do you have a master resume? What is a master resume? A master resume is everything you've done since college, and include anything you did in college if it's relevant to what you do today. By doing that, you don't have to think about what you've done in the past. You put everything together. I have a file folder of all the resumes I've had since I graduated college, when I was looking for my first job, and it's in this folder. But I took all those resumes and then combined it into a master resume, 10, 15, I think mine's like 13 pages long. And by doing that, I have job titles, who was my supervisor, addresses of the company, managers' names, the exact dates I worked here, all the details. This way, and then every job description had 6 or 8 bullet points that says, here are my accomplishments, what I did in that job. So then when I apply for a job, I take that master resume, I save it as, however you save stuff so you know what you're doing, save as, and then I start deleting everything that's not in the job description. Because if they don't ask about it in the job description, don't tell them other things that you've done, because you're just going to confuse them. You want to get them to call you up. You have to remember your resume is just a hook. It's just there to get them to call you up. You've got to customize every resume you send out, because if they're not asking for certain things, you're not doing it. And you've got to make sure that you're using the same terms that are in the job description. So, if they're calling a customer service rep position, customer service representative, CSR position, if they're calling it a customer relationship specialist, you need to change your resume to match those terms, because That's what's going to get you selected because of keywords. And be sure to, like I said before, keep to the details of the job description. Very, very important. Your resume has got to have results, dollar signs, percents, number signs. So every bullet point that you have on your resume has got to tell me what it is what successes you've had and why I should hire you, because I need somebody who can do those same things. A lot of resumes I read look just like a job description. Here's what you were supposed to do, but you don't tell me what it is you've done. And that's the meat of what you need to do, because if you can show results, that will tell somebody why I should hire you. Okay, that will get them to call you up. That'll get them to say, tell me about how you saved $1 million, or how you X, Y, Z, whatever it is. You're provoking somebody to say, I want to know more. Okay. You do not want to blindly send out a resume. I think it's a big mistake just to have your resume and send it out, because when you do that, you're sending out a generic resume. You're not customizing your resume to the job description. You do not want to post your resume on LinkedIn. Now you're going to take the information from your master resume, and that's going to be on, much of it or some of it can be on LinkedIn. But you don't want to just send out here's my resume, or I heard you have a job opening or whatever, here's my generic resume. Don't do that. You've got to customize every resume. If you're networking with somebody, or what I believe is a great tool instead of sending out a resume is consider a one-page bio. I think it's an extremely effective tool. There's a great book here called Be Sharp by Minna Brown. She knows I promote her book big time, so I think it's one of the best. It's one of 3 books I think every job seeker should have. I think it's excellent. It covers the first half of the book, talks about how to introduce yourself to somebody. The second half of the book, and make sure you get the second edition, has over 30 bios in it that you can see. This is Minna's bio on the right-hand side, right next to me. And, she is a professional public speaker. She's a coach trainer. She's an author. And so her bio is much more involved than most people's bios. But if you'd like to get a sample bio that I recommend, you're welcome just to email me, and I can get you that information and send it to you. But just some basic bios. I think a bio is extremely effective. You can get this book on Amazon, $16, $17. I think if you have Amazon Prime, at one point, the book was free on a Kindle. So I definitely recommend it. Be Sharp by Minna Brown and Paula Asanoff. All right, on your resume. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the ATS system, or applicant tracking system. Number 1, do not use special characters or any special formatting. When you send your resume in, no tables, no headers, no footers, no tables at all, no special wingdings or anything like that. You can use the little bullet you see all the time. All the systems recognize that. But beside that, strip out anything that's going to be that could mess up a system. You don't even want hyperlinks, like underneath your email address. Remove that hyperlink so just the text is there. The reason being is that there's over 100 different ATS systems out there. You don't know which system you're applying to and what the particular requirements of that one is. So by keeping it generic, your resume, by keeping it plain text, you will be able to, your resume will be seen, you'll be able to fill out the ATS system much better. You've got to make sure that keywords align to the job description. I think if you only take one thing away from today's presentation, or most presentations on LinkedIn, resumes, is that keywords are very important. If they're asking for something, you've got to make sure that that appears in your resume. It's very important. Focus on results. You've got to make sure that your resume doesn't read like a job description. I want to know how you've succeeded in those requirements of your job description. So one of the games I like to play is called the so what game. Read your bullet point and then say, so what? If you have a result, You've now answered it and you're ready to go to the next bullet point. If you don't have one, you need to say, well, yeah, I did this, but so what? What was the result? Did I save the company some money? Was I more efficient? Did I reduce turnovers? What was it that I did? Everything you do contributes somehow to a, to the company. Okay. Otherwise, why would they have you there? If you're an accounting person, you reduce closing time from 10 days to 7 days. If you're in inventory control, you reduce cost by renegotiating contracts. Whatever it is, put that kind of information down there. I also recommend that you use an action verb to start every bullet point with. This pulls people in. There's a great list of, you can go Google 250 action verbs for your resume or whatever. Start every bullet point with an action verb, because that will help draw the reader in to read your resume. Here are some common resume mistakes we see all the time. Spelling and grammatical errors. You got to remember, when somebody's looking at your resume, they're not just looking at your resume. They're looking at 100 resumes, 200 resumes, 300 resumes. And what are they doing? They're trying to weed out resumes to get down to maybe 8 to 10 resumes that they'll then look at a little bit more. They're only going to look at the resume for 10 seconds. They're just going to glance through it. As soon as they see a spelling mistake, boom, in the trash your resume goes, or the delete button. If you have a unprofessional email address, KarenLovesKittyCats@gmail.com, that's not going to get you a job. If you have an OU email address where you went to Oklahoma OU and you're applying for a job and the reader happens to go to UT, who knows, you may be deleted because of that. So make sure that you want to not have any reason for your resume to be thrown out. You've got to make sure that you demonstrate and quantify results. We've talked about that. And your format design cannot be too elaborate. So I'll tell you a story about that. My daughter is a UX designer, user interface. What you see on a computer program is she's designing that. So she's really graphical. She likes, very artsy and stuff like that. And so when she worked for IBM for 2.5 years, got laid off with 25,000 other people when they just said, okay, if you work in this building, you're gone. And out she went with everybody else in the building. And so her first resume that she sent her dad was all pretty and had yellow triangles and blue squares and red circles. And it was very graphical, very graphic oriented. And I told her, Alex, this isn't going to get, you've got to have something more generic to apply for jobs. Well, of course, kids don't listen to their dads. Thankfully, IBM paid for Right Management to work with her, and Right Management told her the same thing. And she readjusted her resume to what they said would work. She sent me a copy. It was just like, all right, well, this is what I was trying to tell you. But of course, kids don't listen to their dads. And a month or two later, she landed a job using that other resume. Now, the graphical resume, that pretty resume, that's fine to use if you're going to email the hiring manager directly. If you're going to hand deliver a resume, that's fine. But if you're applying online, you've got to have that generic, plain looking resume. So because you don't know what kind of ATS system will handle it. Okay, so we talk about effective resumes every first and third Thursday. So every first and third Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time, you can join us for effective resumes. This coming Thursday, a week from today, we'll be talking all about resumes. I'll share a basic resume template. We'll go over what should be on your resume. We'll have some one-page bio samples to hand out. I'll be able to give you, if you want, the 250 action verbs that you should use. All that stuff will be on there. It will be on the CareerDFW Facebook page live, and it'll be on Zoom. So if you want to join us, please do so. If you're not part of our mailing list, I will put an email address up here at the end that you can send an email to join our mailing list so that you get those Zoom links right away. So the next area I want to talk about is you've got your resume done now. You've completed it. You've got your master resume. You've got action verbs to start out the words. You've got lots of keywords in there because you're going to try to match whatever keywords are on the job description. And that's why you're going to modify and change things to make it match. The next most important thing is you've got to get your LinkedIn profile up and going. 97% of recruiting managers use LinkedIn. Less than 50% of recruiting managers pay LinkedIn for the recruiting package. So they're just going through, like when I talked about we have 14,100 members in the CareerDFW group, I would bet 1 out of 15 of those people are in HR. They're joining the group because they're trying to find you, and they don't want to pay LinkedIn $10,000 a year for the full-blown recruiting package. So just here's a few statistics. As of on LinkedIn's website as of January 2022, 77 job applications were submitted every second on LinkedIn. 10 million people plus use the open to work feature. And we'll talk more about that. And in fact, I think that number since that time has gone up almost tenfold. 45 million people use LinkedIn to search for jobs every week. 4 people are hired every minute on LinkedIn. 57 million companies are listed, and over 120,000 schools are listed. So if you want to network with people, don't forget to network with your alumni association. Find your school. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. So number one, my first question is, have a LinkedIn profile that's current and fully developed. LinkedIn will help you become an all-star. They will tell you, fill out this category. Let's fill this out. Have you done this? What do you have? There are several categories you have to have. I'll mention those in just a second. But you want to, the whole key to this is, does your LinkedIn profile tell a company how you can help them? Remember, they're not hiring people because they got extra cash on hand and they're just trying to fill seats. They have a problem. You're a problem solver. What kind of problems do you solve? And you tell people that on your LinkedIn profile for them to say, I need somebody who can do that with the right keywords. So number one, can someone reach out to you easily? This is the most amazing thing that I find on LinkedIn. Yesterday or Tuesday, we had Kurt Vondermatter, who's a retained search consultant. He looks for people, he tries to find people. And so he was showing us a search. He was looking for a cost accountant in, I think, the Tampa, St. Pete area. I mean, I know they just had a lot of damage from the hurricane, but he was looking, and the top 20 candidates that we looked at, none of them had a phone number or an email address listed. Kurt loves when there's a phone number because the first thing he wants to do is pick up the phone and call you. Recruiters, they're on a time game here. You don't want to make them work. Make sure that your phone number and email address is in your contact information and your about statement. Very, very important. If you don't want to put your phone number, I know a lot of women don't want to do that, get a Google Voice number. You can find out how to get a Google Voice number. They're totally free. And then what happens is that you tell that Google Voice number to roll to your cell phone or to your house phone, whatever it is you want to do. So make sure your phone and email address is also in your about statement. So in that about section, you have 2,200 characters to tell a company what it is you do. It's a little bit like your cover letter, why they should hire somebody, why they should hire you. So beside putting a lot of keywords in there, also put, let's connect. How can I help your company? Make sure you have a focus statement and a title. You've got to make sure that you're, that you tell people what it is you do, that you're an experienced Java front-end engineer, that you're a talented marketing brand manager. Remember, I say you want to start out with action verbs, experienced, talented. It helps draw somebody in. It makes it more exciting. All right, so just don't be that boring project manager. Be an experienced project manager, a talented product manager, a whatever it is. Put something like that on there. So this happens to be my profile picture. I just thought I'd show it to you, or my LinkedIn profile. I put my phone number and my email address in my background photo. So make it easy for people to reach out to me. And I've done this out there for a couple of years. I don't get a lot of spam phone calls. I don't get a lot of spam emails. Okay. So it really, they're not using that to do that. That's a word cloud in the middle of there. So the program, Vanessa says, how do you get your contact on that background? So I use a program called Canva, canva.com, canva.com. It's totally free. You can put a picture there. You can build whatever you want to build there. Just look for the LinkedIn pro. There's once you go to canva.com, you go to the little search bar, put in LinkedIn banner, and I think it's the third one that pops up. It's the second or third one. I forget exactly which one it is. And you can create whatever you want. You put a cityscape on there, put something in there, something that draws people in. I have my book on there because since I wrote it. Then when you go down and look at underneath my name, I go by the name that I am. All right, my name is Jeffrey, but I go by Jeff because that's what I want people to call me. Put the name that you want people to call you. If you have an unusual name, a hard to pronounce name after Jeff Morris, put down the phonetic spelling so people make it easy for them to figure out what it is you do. If you're using your phone, using the mobile app, you actually can record a 10-second audio of how to pronounce your name, and it will show up right after your name, a little bar. People can click on it and they'll actually be able to see how to pronounce, or they'll hear how to pronounce your name. You can do that. It's really a great feature. It's only on the mobile app though, because they figured on the mobile app, you've already got a microphone built in. So then I talk about I'm an accomplished, that's an action verb, manufacturing manager, operation manager, or general manager, 3 job titles. And these are job titles from LinkedIn. Don't go pick up some goofy chief people person. If that's not a job title that's on LinkedIn, don't use it, because recruiters, as they're putting in job titles, if they're looking for a chief people person, they're going to put in a director of talent acquisition or a director of HR. They're not going to put in chief people person, okay? They're going to put in the common title. So be sure to use the common titles on LinkedIn. Then I put a little saying, better, faster, smarter. Everything I do and every process I look at as I'm doing things, I'm trying to see, can I do that better? Can I save this employee a step if I move this workstation by 10 feet? Am I saving them 10 steps every time they do that particular process? And then I talk about that I'm a speaker at career workshops and seminars. So that's what's on there. So LinkedIn profile, you can build your own banner, canva.com. You got to make sure you add a professional email address and your closest large city. We already talked about no Karen loves kitty cats at gmail.com. That's not going to do it. John Smith PMP at gmail.com, or, Jeff Morris TX at gmail.com. That's not my email address, but if your name's taken, you can add a TX after it. Add, if you have if you're an attorney, you can add a JD after it, whatever it is. Do something so it makes it sound professional. And I also recommend you have 2 email accounts. You have one email account just for your job search, and you have a different email account for your personal and private emails. Keep your family and friends on one email account. Keep your work and your networking and all that kind of stuff on a second account. It's easy just to check 2 different accounts every day, but keep things a little separate. It will help clarify your life a little bit. Be sure to add the closest large city state. So if you live in Farmers Branch, instead of listing Farmers Branch on LinkedIn, I would list Dallas-Fort Worth. I don't want to list Lucas or Murphy or Justin or Rome or whatever city you live in. Pick the closest major metroplex that, if you're within a, 50-mile area of the DFW area, just put in Dallas-Fort Worth, because it makes it, you'll get more people will be drawn to your profile. You always want to send a personal note whenever you send a LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn invitation. Every day I get invitations for people to please join. I'd like to connect with you. It's the generic invitation. Guess what? I don't connect with any of those people because I don't know why to connect with those people. I want a personal note. So even on a cell phone, and this is a screenshot from a cell phone. I think this is an iPhone. It's been modified now. That more button where you see that red arrow on the left-hand side, I think they've changed it to either 3 dots or 3 little lines or something. But even on a phone or a tablet, you can click on more of that thing, and then you'll see on the right-hand side, personalize the invitation. Always, always do that. Tell people where you met them at, why we should connect. We're in the same field. I hate your blue shirt. I wish it was green. Something, just tell me something, and I'll be glad to connect. And personally, I'll be glad to connect with you. Now on LinkedIn, you're going to see a lot of pictures like this if you're searching for people, and you see that white connect button. never, ever, ever click on that. Because if you click on that white connect button, it sends a generic invitation. And then it's like, oops, too late. I can't send that personal note. So when you do that, click on her face. When you click on her face, up will come her LinkedIn profile, and then you'll be able to see a blue connect button. And then that way you can connect with her and send that personal note. So white connect button, bad. Blue connect button, good. All right, you want to complete your profile to all-star status. And how do you do that? You need to have a current position, a location. You need to pick an industry that you're in. You need a summary. That's now the about statement. Put something in there. And then at least you have to pick 5 skills. You need to list an education, and you need to have a photo. Oh, Jeff, I don't want my photo. I take bad photos. You need to put a photo on there. It needs to be a good-looking photo. Nowadays, cell phones take great photos. It's not hard to take a picture of yourself, you know, or have somebody take a picture, but do it against a blank wall. I'll show you some photos here, good and bad, in just a moment, that are, you know, like I said, the good and bad ones. Current position. Well, Jeff, I'm currently unemployed. What do I put in for my current position? Not hard. Here's what I recommend. Now, LinkedIn 6 months ago added a feature where you can put in that you're currently unemployed, you're taking care of a family member, you're going back for schooling, whatever. It gives you some categories that you can pick on what it is. I don't like those. What I think you should do is, if you're for your current position, is you create a new job. It starts whenever you finished your last job to present. The job title is 2 or 3 job titles that you want: general manager, operation manager, director of operations. And then in the company name, you put your phone number and email address. Then in the description of the job, you list 3 or 4 bullet points of successes and things that you can do to help a company. And then that last bullet point, you list, how can I help your company? Open to new opportunities. Please feel free to reach out to me. Because now what you've done is you put a current job in. When you do get a job, you delete that off your profile and you just go on. But that tells somebody, you know, what it is you can do. I like that a lot better than putting in that you're unemployed or anything else like that. All right, so here's some photos. I said we talk about some photos. These are just sort of amazing. So the top left photo, good photo, except it's too white. I mean, he had the brightness behind him instead of in front of him, so the picture doesn't come out really, really well. The second photo over, the guy with the LSU purple and gold on, I assume, that's too busy a background. Too busy. The lady in the yellow chair, personally, I don't need to see your whole body. I just want to see you pretty much from, you know, like you're seeing me right now. You're seeing me from chest up. That's all you need to see. I use LinkedIn. If somebody contacts me and I don't know who you are, you know, or in an email or something, I go to LinkedIn and go, oh yeah, I remember that person. They were at a meeting I was at last year or whatever. Because I'm pretty good with faces. I don't remember names really well. So that's how I use it. The top right photo, that's Gail. Gail him or Gail her? How would you know? Okay, so a picture of you only. Husband and wife teams, you're out. I don't connect with any people like that. Okay, the lower left picture, great. They put down he's open to work, but I can't really see who he is. You know, this is not a dating profile where I need to see your whole body. I just want to see what you look like at the very, very top up here. Recruiters do not discriminate against pictures, okay? I mean, they're looking for talent, okay? The next 2 pictures that are there, nice close-up shot, a plain background. Is it okay if I use black and white? Yeah, I think so. I think both these pictures are good. They're professional. They're looking directly at the camera. There's nothing else to interfere with what you look like. Remember, everybody here has picked a significant other because of the way you looked, because of the way they looked. You saw them at a concert, you saw them at a bar, you saw them in a restaurant, you saw them in the grocery store. You were attracted to them for some reason. If somebody's not attracted to you or they don't want to interview you because of the way you look, Better to find out now than to get on a Zoom call or go someplace and drive 20 minutes for an interview for them to look at you and go, oh, I really don't want to hire you. Okay. Put your picture out there. It's nothing, it's just fine. Okay, your headline. Be sure to put a headline, a job title that you're looking for. Like I said, pick the job titles off of LinkedIn so you're using the ones that a recruiter would type in to look for. Use the open to work setting. Okay, so in settings, there's two options here. When you're open to work, you can only tell recruiters that you're open to work, or you can select the green banner on here. I say if you're open to work, if you're currently unemployed, you want everybody to know you're unemployed, okay? Like I said before, less than 50% of recruiters pay LinkedIn for the full-blown recruiting packages. As I mentioned before, 1 out of 15 people who join the CareerDFW LinkedIn group out of that 14,100 members, they're recruiters. They're in the HR department. They're not paying LinkedIn, but they want to find you. Let people know you're open to work. Let all your contacts know you're open to work. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, 15, 20 years ago when you were unemployed, it was like a virus. People didn't want to be around you. Everybody's been laid off. And if they haven't, they will be in their career. It will happen. All right, in your about section, it used to be called the summary statement. Now it's the about section. You want an overview of your career using keywords from your profession, and be sure to include your contact information. I've talked about that before. Contact information, very, 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 very important. Keywords, where do you get keywords at? Well, here's what I recommend. Go on LinkedIn, type in your job title that you are, and see who pops up. And look through their profile and go, oh yeah, I've done that. Oh, I've done that. Oh, I need to add that keyword. Look at job descriptions out on the internet and go, oh yeah, they want this keyword. They want this keyword. Oh, I've done that. I've done this. Let people, just pick those words and just keep putting them in your profile. If you look at my profile and you go to my about section, the first part of it, I have several paragraphs, a couple of paragraphs with only 3 lines each, because you don't want to put a big block of text because people won't read a block of text. 3 lines max, then another 3 lines, another 3 lines, another 3 lines. Feel free to reach out to me. Let's connect. Here's my contact information, phone number, and email address. And then down below, I probably have 50 or 60 keywords that somebody may type in and I may pop up on. So that, and I add to those words as I see new words and go, oh, I need to add that to it also. Just a way to make things, to show up better. So just, look at mine if you'd like to have an example. In your experience section, use your job title. If it's an unusual job title, or the job title doesn't quite say what you did, like you were a program manager, and that's pretty generic, but you could put down program manager, and then in parentheses, the detail of like electronic, blah, 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 whatever, to give more definition to what it is. You were an accountant, but you didn't really, that was your job title as an accountant, as an accounting person, an accountant, but in parentheses, put down, cost accountant, AR, AP, whatever it is, to give it some more definition. If you had an unusual job title, chief people person, put in parentheses, talent acquisition director, if that's the level you were at or whatever. Customer service rep, put down in parentheses, customer relationship specialist. Put those things on here to let people know what it is. Put down a description of your job duties, include keywords from your profession. There's lots of those really good details out there on the internet. You've got to have your education, awards, any certificates, any professional development. If you've written books, there's room for all this stuff on there. LinkedIn keeps expanding fields for you to put information in. And it's all about keywords. The more information you can put in. And if your keywords, here's another thing I haven't mentioned. Keywords, you want to appear 3 to 5 times throughout your profile. So if you happen to have them in your summary statement, that's one. And then you get your about statement, that's one. And then down in your resume, you can have them listed on maybe 2 or 3 jobs, the same kind of keywords if they're really important. That's what will make you show up in the search. You need to have at least 5 skills. You can have up to 50. The way LinkedIn keeps rearranging how things work, that's why I don't really show a lot of LinkedIn screens, because what I would have captured yesterday would be different tomorrow. But on LinkedIn, the top 3 skills is what's going to show up on your profile unless they click on see more. So there's a way to drag any of the skills farther down to be your top 3. Be sure to get the top 3 ones, what you want to show. You want to have recommendations from your coworkers and former bosses. You've got to have 2 or 3 recommendations now, because LinkedIn changed it. You only used to show 2. Now they show 3, and you want to have them from 2020 to 2022. You want current ones. I've seen people's profiles and their last recommendation was in 2014. That doesn't do anything for me. You want to have some current ones. All right, a couple of settings you want to make sure you turn off or on. The first thing, people also viewed. I'm sure you've looked at people's profile, and over on the right-hand side, there'll be a column of other people just like Jeff. Well, why do you want to promote other people who have the same skills you do? Turn that feature off. By default, LinkedIn has it turned on. And then you want to be sure to turn on, let recruiters know that you're looking for new opportunities. And if you're unemployed, be sure to add the green banner on there also. Be sure to follow any company you're interested or have applied to. So if you've applied to Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, be sure to follow them, because one of the features on the LinkedIn recruiting package is that it will go and show the recruiter, if they do a search for a cost accountant and up come 100 people who meet that qualification with the specifications they put in, keywords and stuff. One of the features they have across the top is, of the 100 people in this search, 49 of them follow Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, DFW. Well, I'm going to look at those 49 people first, because they already know what we're doing. They're already following us. I'm going to do that pool first. If I don't find a candidate, then I'll expand back out and look at the bigger thing. So always follow any company that you find. You want to be sure to post, like, and share. You've got to be active on LinkedIn. It's very, very important. Besides just looking at things that are out there, if you see somebody's post, like it. If you see a post and you go, this is really great, I want to share it with my network, share it. If you want to post your own stuff, post something once a week. If you're not sure what to post, you can go to feedly.com. All sorts of articles about whatever you're an expert in. But if you can get people to like and share your comments, you're going to become more active. It'll move you up in the rankings through the secret algorithm that LinkedIn uses. Always reply to any LinkedIn email or connection request, because even if you're not interested, just say no thanks. Okay. By doing so, it's showing LinkedIn that you're active. All right, so we talk about LinkedIn every Tuesday. I mean, what I've talked about is the tip of the iceberg. These are just a few tips. We have 4 outstanding speakers who rotate through on a monthly basis. Next Tuesday, our speaker is Terry Sullivan, who's going to talk about how to tell your key contacts who you are, what you do, and how you can help. But we talk about LinkedIn every Tuesday. It's live on the CareerDFW Facebook page. You can, go back. We do it on Zoom. If you're not getting our emails every day, please let me know or send me an email and we'll get you signed up on the list. All right, let's talk about interviewing. So as I said before, your resume and your LinkedIn profile will not get you a job. It only gets you a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. So you've got to be prepared for an interview. For every bullet point you have on your resume, you have got to write out a star story. You've got to have something ready to go. I recommend you write them down. I recommend you put them on index cards. Okay, so just get some index cards, and the very top line on the index card, you write down what your bullet point is. Down the side, I put a big STAR. Here's what the situation was. Here was the task. Here was the action. Here was the result. Just a short little bullet to remind myself. Now, if you don't want to use the STAR method, you can use, there's RAW, result, action, and why. There's SAR, S-A-R, which is situation, action, result. There's also RATS, which is result. You tell the result first. RAT doesn't sound very good, but by telling RATS first, you tell the result first, because most people forget to tell the results. But if you write them down, then it makes it really easy that when you're getting ready for an interview, you can just sit there and go, yep. You just remind yourself what it is you're talking about. It makes things work very, very easily. So grab some index cards, write them down. It makes things work very, very easy. And by writing it down, it helps write it into your mind. If you type it into a computer, it's not the same as actually physically writing it down. You've got to make sure you keep your answers to 45 to 60 seconds max. In fact, 30 to 45 seconds is probably best if you're doing a Zoom call. If you're meeting somebody in person, you can go up to a minute, but you don't want to get any farther than that. Short, sweet, distinct. You've got to be able to answer their question or tell the story very distinctly. And at the end of your 45 or 60 seconds, you can all say, would you like to know more? Did I answer your question? I've got more details. If we have time, I can go into it if you'd like. So, you know, just hit the highlights. I know you want to tell them the whole thing on how you did it. If they were interested, they're going to ask and want to know more. Be prepared for these questions. These are 3 questions that you've got to be ready to answer. Why do you want to work here? I know there's a recruiter, and she tells me she asks this question to every candidate she interviews. And if they don't have a good answer, she doesn't move them on to the hiring manager. You've got to know, why do you want to work here? Second question is, how much did you make at your last job? Well, not necessarily what you made at your last job, but your salary requirements. You've got to be prepared to talk about the salary issue. So we've got a module, and I'll share that with you in just a few minutes about how you can go, and if you're not sure how to answer that question, what you can do. But the best thing to do, I mean, here's an answer that I can give. Well, I've done some research, and according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, for this job title of cost accountant in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, the job range is somewhere between $55,000 and $98,000 a year. I'm sure that whatever you're going to pay will be fair and equitable. What company is not going to pay fair and equitable? So just be willing, be ready to answer that question, however. And then, why did you leave your last job, or the job before that, or the job before that? I'll tell you a really bad story. A story I had. I went on an interview with a company that made pillows. They were going to open a new facility here in the DFW area. And the owner of the company and the director of HR flew in from Pittsburgh. The manufacturing guy in charge of manufacturing flew in from Salt Lake City. It was the absolute worst interview I'd ever sat through, because all they did was they started at the bottom of my resume and they went, so why'd you leave this job? And then why'd you leave this job? And why'd you leave this job? All the way through the interview. And it's just like, you're not even asking what I did or why. I mean, it made no sense. It was the worst interview I'd ever been through. But, you know, you've got to be prepared. You've got to have good answers. All right. One of the things you've got to have when you go on an interview, or when you know you have an interview coming up, you've got to prepare 10 questions that you're trying to get, that you want to ask. Of those 10 questions, you want to try to get 4 to 6 of them asked during the interview. So by telling short answers, you can then even say, well, have you had this kind of issue happen here? Or, you know, I was thinking, you know, along this line has blah, 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 whatever it is. If you can get one of your questions in, you then turn it into a conversation, not an inquisition. Now, especially the first interview with somebody from HR, they got to get through their 10 questions. And they may not be able to answer the kind of questions that you're going to want to ask. But when you get into the second or third interview, and you're interviewing with the hiring manager or other people on the team, this is when you really need to prepare to ask those really great questions. And then the +1 question is, don't forget at the very end, ask for the job. Ask what the next step is, because most candidates don't do that. It's like, oh yeah, well, thanks for calling. I'll look forward to hearing from you. No. Is there any reason why we can't close the deal today? You know, how do I stack up? How do I stack up against the ideal candidate? I don't care how I stack up against the other candidates. I want to know, how do I compare to the ideal candidate? I love that question at the end. All right, be sure to find out what the next step is going to be. Be sure to express even a greater interest in your position. Be sure to refer to your opening statement of enthusiasm. If you're not sure what that is, we're actually going to talk about that next Wednesday on Interviewing Wednesdays. And then, like I said, be sure to be asked to advance the next step or ask for the job. There was a gentleman in the practice interview team on Wednesday who told a story that he came in, went for an interview, and when it was over, as he was following up, you know, as the interview was winding down, he said, well, you know, I saw that empty desk in the hallway. Would that be my desk? I can start on Monday. He actually got the job because he was forward enough and he asked, he said, I'm it. Let's do it. Let's make this happen. All right, a couple of common interviewing mistakes we see all the time. You forget to take credit when you explain what it is you did, okay? You want to be always sure to use I or my instead of we. They're not hiring the team of people who, if you worked and you did a project on a team, they're not hiring the team, they're hiring you. So what was it that you did on the team that made a difference? You can never, ever speak negatively in any way about a prior job, a prior coworker, or a prior boss. Never, ever do that. I learned a lot while I was there. Whatever it is, keep it positive. Because if you talk negative about a prior boss, they're thinking in their mind, well, they're going to talk bad about me if something happens. So, keep it positive. And then be sure to focus. You want to make sure that if you're in a panel interview, that you don't just focus on one person. Be sure to talk to everybody who's in the group, even if you know there's sort of a leader and a couple of people just being there. Make eye contact, look at everybody. If you'd like to practice your interviewing skills, you can reach out to the Dallas Pit Crew. Sorry about that. If you want more information, go to dallaspitcrew.com. The interviewing is totally free. It's usually a panel interview of 2 or 3 hiring managers. These are all people who have done this in the past, hired. I've done over 120, 130 interviews with the Pit Crew. I learn as much interviewing a candidate as you learn when we give you feedback. The interviews last like 45 minutes and you get 15 to 20 minutes of feedback. You don't get feedback when you go to a real interview, but they'll give you, these people will give you a real interview. You can practice often. You can practice 3 or 4 or 5 times if you like. I think the current record is somebody practicing 9 different times. But this is a great way to practice your interviewing skills, to be comfortable, to be ready. And we're going to ask you the tough questions. It's not going to be an easy interview. We're going to really put you through paces. So all you need to do is send a resume and a job description. You can just find, if you're brand new at this, you can just find any job description out there on the internet and go, yeah, I can do this job. Send that in a resume, and that's what we're interviewing for. If this is an interview and you're in your 2nd or 3rd round interview, let us know that, because we'll prepare questions specifically as you're deeper into an interview that will be a little bit tougher, a little bit harder. So it's really good stuff. It's a great way to practice your interviewing skills. It's totally free. It's all done on Zoom. Let people know what your schedule is 2 to 3 days out. I know they're not doing any interviews this week, but they will start taking interviews again next week. We've got a panel of like 30 different people, interviewers. I only interview people who I know what their background is, and I know that we have a common thread. They're in manufacturing and operations. I'll do that. I don't do accounting people. I don't do technical people. It's just, if I don't have the back, we have a broad range of people who are willing to help. It's a great thing. Vanessa, thank you. You said on here, they really do ask the tough stuff, but then the actual interview is easy. Yeah, we hear that all the time. Yeah, I went for the interview. It was easy. Yeah, well, it's easy because you already had the tough stuff asked of you and you're sort of prepared and you know what's going on. All right, so we talk about interviewing every Wednesday. We're not showing practice interviews right now. Mark McDonald, who was leading the practice interview, has stepped away for a little while. So we will be doing practice interviews through the practice interview team on your schedule. But every Wednesday, we're going to be showing a different one of our 13-part workshops. This coming Wednesday, next Wednesday, we'll actually be talking about opening closings and how you're dealing with what's going on in an interview. So, we talked about that opening statement of enthusiasm. We're going to talk all about that this Wednesday. Very, very important. How to start out an interview, get it off on the right foot. You're really, really going to get ahead. So you can join us. It is on Zoom and it will be on Facebook when we do the workshop. So this Wednesday will also be on Facebook. There is a 13-part workshop available on the Career USA YouTube channel that you can go out and look at right now if you need to. The first 5 lessons are all about before the interview. Who knew that there were over 20 hours of material that you needed to do to prepare for an interview? But the first 5 sessions here are all everything you need to do to get started for the interview. How to analyze a job description, how to do star stories. We talked about star stories a little bit. How to prepare for the interview. The next 5 sessions deal with what do you do during the interview. This coming Wednesday, we're going to talk about interview openings, closings, and how to follow up with the candidate. But then in future weeks, we'll talk about discussing compensation, asking questions, demonstrating enthusiasm, and how to build rapport with the interviewer. And then the last three topics are sort of advanced topics: how to shorten your job search using information interviewing, which is a fabulous tool. If you don't know about it, you really should go watch that session. It's great. How to handle difficult interview questions and cultivating confidence. And then the last one, avoiding interview crashes. Mark and Walt have put, this is done by Mark McDonald and Walt Glass, and they've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people. And even though people practice, they still make some common mistakes. No matter how good you are, you still make a few mistakes. And they're going to talk about that in that session 13. All right, so let's talk about networking. We've just got a few minutes left here. Networking, don't spend all day in front of a computer. 5 to 10% of jobs are found online. 10 to 15% are found using a recruiter. 75 to 80% of jobs are found networking. If you're spending all day just applying for jobs online, you're not going to find, it's going to take you 20 times longer to find a job. Okay. If you started networking and made contacts with people and reached out to people, you have a much greater chance of finding a job. A lot of jobs are never ever posted. You're the right candidate who comes along and they go, you know, we were thinking about hiring somebody who could do that. Or we really need somebody who can do that. They'll write, you know, you then become the candidate of a job pool of one and you get hired. So get out and network. When you apply for a job online, the next thing you want to do is, who do I know in the company who can refer me into the company? If you only apply online, you have a 1 to 2% chance of getting a phone call. So 1 out of 100, so you fill out 100 applications and you get 1 phone call, maybe. If you're referred into a company, or if you filled out the online application, or you've done informational networking and you've networked into the company and you have somebody inside the company refer you, you have a 50% chance of getting a phone call. Even if you find who the recruiter is, reach out to the recruiter and go, I applied for this job. I meet the requirements. I can do what you need. They're going to look at you, they'll at least look at your profile and go, oh yeah, you can, let's talk. You've made it easy for them. So reach out to recruiters. If you can't find the recruiters in charge of the job, reach out to the head of HR, because they'll usually pass you down to the right person. Reach out to everybody you know. The person who cuts your grass, the person who cuts your hair, the person at the grocery store, the person, your doctor, everybody you know is networking. We had a great session a couple weeks ago, networking, and Terry Goffard made this great comment that networking isn't, you don't have to go out and meet new people. You probably know everybody who you need to know. You just need to reach back out to them. Reach back out to old employees, to old people you used to work with. Reach out to all those people, make those contacts. Number one, they'll probably be glad to hear from you. They'll be surprised to get a message from you, and you may be the perfect candidate for them. Here's a little thing that one of our speakers recommended. I think it's a great tool. You want to send an email out every 3 weeks to all of your contacts. So the first line of the contact is, I want to thank the following people. I want to thank Mary Jo and Sue for their help over the last 3 weeks. They were, really beneficial for giving me help. Now you're sending this out blind copy, so nobody knows who else you're sending this to. Just make up some names if nobody helped you. But what you're doing is you're putting in this person's mind, oh, well, Mary Jo and Sue helped, maybe I should help too. The second paragraph is, as a reminder, I'm looking for a position as a cost accountant, or I'm looking for help networking into the healthcare field. Whatever it is you're looking for, put that in there. Third paragraph, if you know someone who works at, and list 3 or 4 target companies, okay? Don't say, I'm looking for somebody in the North Dallas area. I'm looking for somebody in the Richardson, Plano area. That's not going to, I just zone that out when I hear that. You want to give a specific company. If you know somebody who works at whatever, name 3 or 4 companies, give company names. That's great. And then the last paragraph is, if there's anything I can do for you, please feel free to reach out to me. If you send this out every 3 to 4 weeks, the first time they may not get it. The second time they'll read it. The third time they'll go, oh, well, maybe I do know somebody. If you want to do 2 different emails, one to your friends and family and your church members, great. Do the other one strictly to your networking connections. And you can family-tize the friends and family one, but the networking one, keep it very plain and simple. So we talk about networking on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of the month. We have a whole bunch of different speakers. It is on the CareerDFW Facebook page. We are on Zoom. These are the people we've had present. I'll get another way here. Here's the people we've had present back in 2022. We're going back through. We just had Terry right here. Terry just talked to us this past couple weeks ago. Lining up, we'll have this person talking. These couple people will be talking to us the next couple of months again. So please join us. Listen, networking is basically the same. It's reaching out to somebody else. But everybody, all these speakers have a little bit different way on how they do it. And maybe you'll pick something up and you'll carry it out from them. So CareerDFW and CareerUSA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Every Tuesday, we talk about LinkedIn. Every Wednesday, we talk about interviewing. Every Thursday, we talk about effective resumes or networking. And then every Friday morning, the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group at 9:30 in the morning. So just a few bonus things here, and we'll get through here. Number one, I said, please visit the CareerUSA YouTube channel. We've got over 400 workshops recorded. They're all listed right here that you see on the graph. On the CareerUSA YouTube channel, click on playlists, because I have over 400 videos posted. Otherwise, it's just really a jumbled mess of them all. If you click on playlist, you'll be able to then select one of the 7 playlists that I put a video in. Today's video that we're going to post is going to go into the CareerDFW and CareerUSA.org career tips. So that'll be at, but if you want LinkedIn or resumes, whatever it is, don't click on the video, but down below we see that purple arrow, click on view full playlist, and then I'll become a list of all the different dates and topics. The current one should be on top. And you can go down and scroll down and find whatever topic it is you'd like to go back and watch at your convenience. All right, another bonus thing, if you're not early, if you're not early, you're late, okay? My train of thought is 5 minutes early is on time is late. Now, I didn't come up with this. I think it was the coach from the Green Bay Packers years ago, who, it was real simple. If you were there 5 minutes early, you were on time. If you were on time, you were late. And he probably locked the door so those people couldn't get in the meeting 4 minutes before the meeting started, okay? He wants you there beforehand. I think it's very, very important. Please, please, please try to be early, try to be on time. Always include contact information in your signature. This is another little thing that's just amazing to me that people don't do, because every email you send out needs to have a signature line. Here's my signature line with all of my information. And you can just send me a question. I can just reply, no thanks, but all this detail will be there every email I send out. So just be aware of what's there. Send it out. If you have an iPad or a phone, if you're using your Gmail program on an app on your phone, copy it over, because just because you have it on your desktop at home, it's not going to be on your phone. A lot of times you see somebody responds and it says from iPhone. Put your signature on there. Make it easy for me to pick up the phone and call you. Make sure your display name tells people who you are. Look at that first one, WSU Cougar 96. Now, when I first got that, I went, no, wait a second here. I could have some Cougars who come to my Friday meeting. Well, wait, none of them are 96 years old. WSU. Oh, let me look this up. Washington State University. Oh, yeah, they're the Cougars. I bet she must have graduated in 1996. So, you don't want to do this, because doesn't tell somebody who you are. The second one there, Mike's Gmail. Mike didn't even realize that somehow Gmail had changed the display name. It didn't have his last name in there. It changed it somehow, defaulted into Gmail. So, I took a screenshot, I sent it to him. He went and he fixed it right away. So put in there, like you see at the bottom there, Pamela Stewart, G.D. Wooten, Celia Young, whatever it is, put in who you are and make sure your display name is showing up. If you know somebody who's been laid off, if you know somebody who's unemployed, please tell them about CareerDFW and CareerUSA, 2 totally free websites. We've got a great one-page handout on the beginning. On the very front page, you can click the link to it. I just got laid off. What do I do now? Please feel free to reach out about that. Please remember, join the CareerDFW and CareerUSA LinkedIn groups. Follow us on the Facebook page on CareerDFW. Subscribe to our CareerUSA YouTube channel. If you'd like to join our mailing list, if you're not getting emails about our what we're doing on a daily basis, send an email to CareerUSA, the +subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. That way you can grab your lunch, grab your coffee, cup of coffee, your afternoon snack, grab a donut for breakfast on Friday, whatever it is, and join us. So if your group is looking for a speaker, if you know a career group out there is looking for a speaker, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm glad to give this talk to any of the groups that are out there. I can talk about any of these subjects, whatever I can do to help you in your job search. So let me just share a few little slides. I didn't really see any comments. Oh, Scott says here, Yahoo in the past picked up my company as my last name. Yeah, that is possible. I'm just looking at any other questions or comments. Let's see here. I don't really see other comments here. So let me just move on. I know we're a little bit after the hour here. So I've already talked about we're on 4 days a week. Tomorrow morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, 9:30 in the morning Central Time. Mike Chapman, who's been helping job seekers for over 15 years, will talk about 10 new things you should know about health insurance for 2023. October 1st is when things tend to open up, insurance companies and everybody starting the new portals. Mike's been going through training for the last month, the month of September, and he's ready to share the top 10 things you need to know about for next year. Next Tuesday, as I mentioned, Terry Sullivan will be with us to talk about LinkedIn. The event will not be recorded. He does not allow his presentations to be recorded, but you'll be able to see it on the LinkedIn page or on Zoom Live if you'd like. Next Wednesday, we're going to talk about interview openings and closings. And next Thursday, being the first Thursday of the month, we'll talk all about effective resumes. If you want to join the CareerDFW or CareerUSA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to join one or both. You don't have to live in the DFW area to join the CareerDFW group. There's over 14,100 members. You can expand your connections very quickly. This session has been recorded. Susan says it was difficult to write them down fast enough. This presentation will be up on the CareerUSA YouTube channel in a couple hours. It takes them a couple hours to process the video, but we will get it up there for you. You'll be able to go back and watch it at your speed and pause it and do whatever you like to do. On the CareerUSA YouTube channels, I pointed out before, click on playlist and then pick up this presentation will be under that CareerDFW and CareerUSA and Career Tips playlist right there. I've already mentioned if you're not receiving emails, just send an email to CareerUSA, the +subscribe at groups.io. Please remember, CareerDFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. Everything I've done over the last 14 years has been just to help you land your next great opportunity. So please consider making a donation when you get your next job. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Hopefully you learned something, you picked up a trick, something you're going to implement over the next couple of weeks or the next week. And maybe we'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Jeff.